It was this shocking school shooting, of course, in Connecticut that intensified the focus on the contentious issue. On Tuesday, a California congressman's town hall meeting demonstrated just how difficult it's going to be for the vice president to bridge the divide between gun rights supporters and victims of gun violence. Listen.
For you to sit there and try to limit and encourage people to limit our Constitution is just appalling.
As a gun owner and a hunter, I don't think they do us any good. I think it's a cloud over our heads. And I don't think they should be on our communities, and I don't think they should be on our streets.
I know I'm going to get booed, but when I listen to the leadership of the NRA saying we need more guns in the schools, I could vomit.
Those kids might have been alive if a few of the office personnel or some of the people had a concealed carry permit.
Well, there you have it. Contentious, passionate. People are debating now publicly about whether or not the NRA has too much power, about what politicians are going to do to protect children from massacres such as the ones that happened in Connecticut. Meanwhile, the American retail giant Walmart has apparently changed its mind. The company says it will attend a Thursday meeting with Joe Biden after claiming a scheduling conflict earlier. Brianna Keeler joins me now with more from Washington. So this meeting at the White House, this big summit, this task force, what discussion are we expecting at the White House about it?
Well, today, Hala, first we should say that if the administration is going to find some sort of comprehensive solution to gun violence, they have to figure out a way politically to thread this needle between gun rights and gun control. Today, the vice president is meeting with folks who are in favor of gun control, who want to see more regulations. Tomorrow, he will be meeting with some stakeholders who are more in favor of gun rights. Of course, that would include the National Rifle Association. But today, the vice president talked about the administration perhaps going it alone without Congress's help in some ways and finding at least maybe some piecemeal solutions, potential solutions to the problem. Here's what he said.
I want it clear to the American public that on behalf of the President, we're reaching out to all parties on whatever side of this debate we fall. The President is going to act. There are executive orders, executive action that can be taken. We haven't decided what that is yet, but we're compiling it all with the help of the Attorney General and all the rest of the cabinet members, as well as legislative action we believe is required.
So what kind of executive action might the administration take? That is now the question. A lot of people who are informed observers of this process, Hala, think that it may have to do with background checks, making sure that information is shared towards agencies. But you also heard the vice president saying there that legislative action is required. And that's because it really is in some of the more major regulations, specifically on gun control, that Washington would need to pursue. And at this point, the White House thinks one of the areas that it may have the most success in pursuing is closing what's called the gun show loophole, which is if people at gun shows, if they go to purchase a weapon, they can purchase them from the actual owner of the weapon, and they can do so without a background check. This would close that loophole, and a lot of folks do get their weapons that way, and it seems like there's an appetite in Congress perhaps to tackle that.
And is that because the Sandy Hook massacre changed things in the United States, or, I mean, in a durable kind of way in terms of politicians hearing from their constituents and voters that they want change as far as gun control laws are concerned?
I think so. It definitely changed something. You look at polls, and Americans feel differently about dealing with gun violence and specifically adding gun control measures to the mix. The question, though, Hala, remains, will that last? And is the change enough? Do enough people feel that this really brings things to a head? Because historically, there hasn't been an appetite in Congress to do this, and there is, unfortunately, a certain rhythm to these, is that this was different. They're hoping that it was different, and that this is something that is lasting, that it tugs on people emotionally, and that they continue to say something really does need to be done, and the president is expected to try to pursue this, Hala. Whether he can succeed is the question.
Right, that is the question. Thanks very much, Brianna Keeler at the White House. Speaking of U.S. President Barack Obama, he didn't go far to find his next Treasury Secretary. A source tells CNN that he'll nominate White House Chief of Staff Jack Lew for the key post. Lew has been a Washington insider since the 1980s, when he worked for U.S. House Speaker Tip O'Neill and later for former President Bill Clinton. He's also worked in the private sector, most notably as a managing director at Citigroup. He has that banking experience. After being officially nominated, Lew would then need to be confirmed by the Senate.